volunteer recognition event. My name is Charlie Ortiz, and I am a volunteer for Knox Park Foundation and also your MC tonight. It is indeed a pleasure to welcome you to this event in which Knox Park Foundation honors several of the volunteers who have assisted in their many wonderful and beneficial efforts. I am privileged to have volunteered with Knox Park and can tell you that I have never volunteered to such an organization of this kind. I have not been able to contribute to improve and improving and beautifying our public spaces and green areas, but I have made lots of friends. On behalf of the mayor and the city of Hartford, I want to congratulate the honorees. The mayor is flying back from Orlando, where he was a key noted speaker at the National Association for Hispanic MBA National Conference. And in addition, he's participating in several news interviews in support for our president and bringing our city into the map. Knox Park is succeeding in ensuring that Hartford is as strong as it can be and lasting and sustainable, as well as care for a green infrastructure. Knox Park Foundation is an incredible partner of the city of Hartford in helping to beautify and green our city. And for the city's 375th anniversary, 375 trees were planted throughout the city, and we continue to work with them to rehabilitate and regrow in our urban canopy. Knox Park has an incredible impact in promoting volunteerism as a way to educate thousands as an overall importance and influence on individuals' behavior, health, wellness, recreation, and a sense of beauty. Knox Park has supported neighborhood gardens, which has provided thousands of pounds of fresh vegetables to our city residents, and preserving and maintaining our public green spaces, including Wexford Park and often forgotten Park, and our medians and rotaries. This has been an instrumental in creating a sense of pride throughout the city of Hartford and the region. I could go on and on about the great things that Knox Park has done, but as a volunteer, first and foremost, I want to thank you. When my partner became mayor, I chose to work in the beautification efforts, and there has been very little that I could have been able to accomplish without the assistance of Knox Park and the community. Thank you again, and I look forward to continuing to work together. And together with the army of volunteers that we have, we will be able to build a capital city park system that every resident, visitor, and family throughout Connecticut can be proud of. And now I would like to introduce our board, and it will be a pleasure to introduce the first Knox Board President of Color, Camille Greenwich. She's also on the board of the Connecticut chapter of the National Congress for Black Women, and is the resident technology strategy over the Metro Hartford Alliance. She hopes to encourage Knox to use technology to create a greener future for Hartford, while sitting and getting her hands dirty on the weekends on a tree planting. Please, Camille.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Can everyone hear me? Charlie, thank you for the introduction. And I'd like to thank you on behalf of Knox Parks for your tireless commitment to Hartford and to the environment. You guys will see Charlie on the week. He's at every Knox tree planted. I suspect that he likes to play in the dirt or the beach. So we're thankful for you. And Charlie works tirelessly also with his the West End Civic Association as well, just helping to really beautify and make his neighborhood dazzling and just looking great all the time. I'd also like to acknowledge the staff of Knox, Ron, Brian, Charmaine, Nan, Maricus, Ruth, and other staff members. Because with them at the helm, really, Knox has been able to improve and really help to transform the city of Hartford. So thank you. I also want you guys to know that it's because of Knox why I claimed a tree in Bushnell Park. One day I went down for a volunteer to clean up Bushnell Park, and I was toiling and slaving over this tree, trying to get a perfect circle around the tree with perfect mulch. And the dirt almost got me. It almost left me winded, but at the end it was like, you know what? I'm gonna claim this tree. I did hard work, and so this is my tree from now on. So once in a while I'll go and I'll sit under my tree, and I'll say, here, there's my tree while I'm driving by, or I'll tell my friend, hey, let's go and walk by our tree. So thank you for that. But we're here to celebrate volunteerism and the wonderful work that our volunteers do. As you all know, volunteerism and the power of it helps to really foster and make a city grow through things like personal responsibility, and you develop a sense of personal responsibility, or volunteerism helps to foster civic pride, or just pride in your neighborhood. So volunteerism really helps for a lot of things. I wanted to give you some facts about Knox. Did you guys know that Knox has at least over 2,000 volunteers on it every year? Did you guys know that? Woo! Great. Did you know that last year Knox planted, and this number is a little fluff, but they planted close to 400 trees. And this year, as of May, and by the end of this week, Knox will have planted 600 trees. By the end of the year, Knox will plant 1,000 trees. I mean, so it's amazing the amount of work that Knox has done. I mean, it's almost like I'm doing high math, but probably a 20% increase over last year. And this is all due to volunteers. The Knox is great, the gang at Knox is great, but they can't do it without your help. We'd be there all day, all night, working to plant 1,000 trees. So kudos to you guys. So we're here to really celebrate the volunteers. And we truly appreciate all of you that are here, that volunteer, that give your Sunday, your Saturdays to helping us to plant trees and beautify the neighborhood. We couldn't do it without you, even though we're recognizing only a few tonight. As you all know, the future of Hartford is not done in the City Hall. It's done when everyone gets up on a Saturday before their coffee and comes down and helps to plant trees, or if someone volunteers to sit on a board, or if you donate your time and your money and your gifts to your favorite nonprofit, which, because you're all here, I'm assuming Knox is your favorite nonprofit. So we thank you for everything. The future of the city, it rests with every one of us. And I can assure you that Knox is helping to do its part to make it very possible. As you guys know the saying, everyone here knows the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes many hands, it takes many hearts, it takes many hours for the community. It takes all of us to really help to seed and plant and help to beautify and make a city as wonderful as Hartford is. So with that, I thank you, and I'll turn it over to Charlie.
Now, I would like to introduce you to somebody that I deeply love in my heart and has become a good friend. His name is Ron Pitts. And Ron actually began working on Knox Park Foundation as a volunteer, completing his master gardening certification. And then ran the Knox Workforce Development Program for 10 years. And therefore taking the road on the executive director in 2009 to today's state. And I have to say that the first time I met Ron many years ago, I was involved in WICA and trying to figure out the things that I wanted to get done. And I find myself to be one of those doers. And I went to his office and met with him, and I said, I don't know whether he knew who I was or what was happening, and I started telling him, Ron, we have to do this, we have to do plants, we got the trees, we got to clean, we got the mediums. I started going over and over and over and over. And he's like looking at me, not saying a word. And he goes, when can we start? I will never forget that, because it was, like usually when I used to go to different corporations and ask them to help out and do that part. And community, there was always sure, we'll get it done, but it's always, are we there? There's engaged, but there was always like slow steps. And, to hear him say, when can we get this started? Let's do it. I'm with you. So I will never forget that. So Mr. Ron Pitts.
Thanks for coming, everybody, and welcome. As you know, we probably couldn't fit 2,000 volunteers in this room, in this building. Well, maybe we could if we really tried. But so you guys are the special ones tonight, and it's all about you. And as Camille and Charlie both said, we could not do the vital work in Hartford without the help of the volunteers that we work with, without your help. And I mean, when I say volunteers, I mean community volunteers, and I mean volunteers from inside of Hartford, volunteers from the neighborhoods that we're working in, and volunteers that come in from the suburbs. I'm talking about volunteers of all walks of life, and diverse backgrounds, and diverse ethnic backgrounds as well. Knox is about plants, yes, and it's about preserving green spaces, but it's also about growing people, just as much as it is about growing plants. When we take on a project, there's always room there for the community. We don't do anything without community involvement. Because in a city like Hartford, we need to get back that civic pride. A lot of people still have it, but there's a lot of people that don't. And when they come with us on a tree planting day or some other beautification project that we undertake in the city, we believe, and I know because I've talked to many of them, during the day while they're doing this work, is that they are taking a new pride in their neighborhood and in their city, because they are now part of bringing about that positive change. So there's ownership, and with ownership comes stewardship, and with stewardship comes pride. When we actually go out and do a tree planting, especially in neighborhood tree planting, people come and help us actually put the trees in front of their homes. Now, they're not going to let that tree die. And the main thing about planting a tree, and there are many reasons why we plant trees, too numerous for me to go into tonight. Although I could, but everyone would be saying, "Ron, time to go, time to go." But anyway, there's many reasons why we actually plant trees, but the main reason is the fact that it makes a more beautiful city. A more beautiful city and a healthier city. And the part about the healthier city is what a lot of people don't really understand. Trees actually act as a natural air conditioner and they actually filter particulate pollutants from the air. Hartford has the dubious distinction of having one of the most highest asthma rates in the country. Trees counteract that effect because they do act as filters. So the more trees we plant, the better our asthma rate is going to be, the lower the asthma rate is going to be. So this year, the Segarra administration had the courage and wisdom to put aside funds to plant 1,000 trees, and I think we need to give them a hand for that. They gave Knox the responsibility of planting those trees, and that's a responsibility that we're taking very seriously. People who have planted trees have made mistakes in the past. The wrong trees have been planted in the wrong places. A perfect example of some of that was what happened on October 30th, was it? When we had that amazing out-of-season snowstorm when so many trees came down. Hartford actually lost 3,000 trees that night. That's a lot of trees for a city the size of Hartford. And a lot of that was because of maintenance not being done, regular maintenance. But a lot of that was because the wrong trees were planted that grew over wires. And of course, all that snow weight brought the limbs down, which brought the wires down. So now when we plant trees, we're not planting large trees around wires. We're planting, much smaller trees. And we're planting the larger canopy trees where we don't have wires where the trees could cause problems if we had a weather issue. So that's part of it. And also, a tree-lined street is 20 to 30 degrees cooler than a street without trees. I mean, imagine that. So what that means to me is all the businesses and the homes on a tree-lined street are going to cost less to air condition. And if they're planted with some evergreens in strategic locations, it's going to cost less to heat them as well. So think about that. So that's just another benefit that trees have. There's an economic benefit as well because people would rather shop and walk along a tree-lined street where it's cooler than they would on a street that didn't have trees. So, I mean, as I said, I could go on for hours extolling the benefits of trees, but we all know what they are. So that's why we continue to plant them. And Knox and the DEEP, Trinity College, the University of Vermont, and also the City of Hartford undertook several years ago a tree canopy survey. And it was found that Hartford's tree canopy was around 26%. That's not so bad, but it would be better if it was 10% higher. 36% tree canopy is much better. When you look down on it from an airplane or from an aerial view, now it sort of looks like a threadbare carpet in places. There are a lot of places where trees just aren't there, and we need trees there. So to add 10% more trees to the tree canopy, anybody have any idea how many trees that is to add 10%? I didn't think so. It's about 18,000 trees. And we would love to have that challenge to plant 18,000 trees in 10 years. So we're asking all of you to try to talk it up, talk to the powers that be, talk to the leaders in the city, and let's try to complete that goal. 18,000 trees in 10 years. New York City is planting 1 million trees in 20 years. So we can do 18,000 in 10. Let's try for that. And I think we can do it with your help. So once again, and I wanted to also say thank you to all of our volunteers that are here this evening. And also I want to say thank you to our Green Crew members, our beloved AmeriCorps program that going into our 10th year now. Thanks to the Connecticut Commission on Community Service. And couldn't do it without them as well. They are actually helping us get things done while we're actually teaching them valuable employment skills in the greens industry. So it's a win-win situation for us and them, and for the city of Hartford, which we all love so much. So again, thank you so much for coming, and we couldn't do the vital work in Hartford without you. So thanks again.
Okay, so now we have, get my pictures over here. I would like to introduce Ryan. This is my friend Ryan. Ryan Holland?
Oh, Hal.
Oh, hi.
First of all, how about another round of applause for Charlie Ortiz? I was talking to him about his schedule the other day, and I think of myself as a pretty hard worker. I can honestly say on most days he accomplishes before lunch than I accomplish by 7 p.m. Granted, I work late into the night, but he is still an amazing asset to the city, and I'm so proud to have stood up here next to him. Before we jump into the awards ceremony, which is what I'm about to kick off, I want you all to think about something for just a little bit. On your tables, there are these envelopes which say, "Thank you for your kindness and generosity." And that's really what tonight is all about. We want to thank each and every person in this room because you've given in some way to the mission of Knox Parks. You've given to a stronger, greener, more beautiful Hartford. But we haven't sold you yet on why you should give more. And that's what the award ceremony is going to tell you. It's going to tell you about the amazing people getting out of bed every day, giving their time freely, giving their money freely, bringing their corporations to us, bringing their civic groups to us. And once you hear those stories, take the envelope home with you. Think about it. Think about making a gift to Knox Parks. Why is it important? It's important because we want to plant 18,000 trees, and each tree costs between $400 and $700. We just constructed a new garden in the north end to put enough garden beds in there to feed roughly 1,000 people. It's going to cost $500 a garden bed for 175 garden beds. So just think about it. Listen to the stories tonight and realize that when you give to Knox, there is no organization accomplishing more with less. Now we can start the fun. We've changed up the program a little bit in order to accommodate schedules. So our first awardee is Wiko. I initially met David Barrett through email when applying for a grant program. And since then, he has proven to me that nobody knows more about the West End, especially its history. Nobody cares more about seeing Knox succeed in the West End. And frankly, in general, the West End neighborhood is great. They define in terms of what you want to see people take care of. Each person takes care of their own yard. Charlie, from the West End, goes and takes care of those banks on West End Boulevard. When we talk about personal responsibility, we're talking about every single person picking a piece in the world, whether it's their front yard, whether it's a public